a different way. All right. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who took the time out just to come on tonight. I see a lot of people who are familiar with, just our organization already on. There's going to be, of course, some more that expected to tune in with this as well. But I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Thank you all for just tuning in real quick. Again, this is EJ Gilliard. I'm actually born and raised in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I have been in the financial industry for a little minute now, for a little over, it's been a minute. It's been over 10 years, I will say that. But just thank you all for getting a chance to be on. We actually have a lot of things to talk about today, but they're going to primarily be about the question that we have all the time. What is the blockchain? So we're going to talk about blockchain fundamentals. We have done a lot of events as an organization, online and offline. We've done a lot of in-person events, but also we've done these online events a lot as well, and classes, and especially for kids too. We've done a lot of classes for kids, so they've been a big help, for others. But I definitely wanted to just give y'all an understanding on where we want to go with this, even for next year, for 2023. There's a lot of things that we want to do as an organization to continue to expand. So today, we're going to be going into a full breakdown of what the blockchain is. Now, who are we as an organization? Again, I told y'all I'm the founder of Carolina Crypto Collab, but Triple C. We've been around for about a year and a half, so almost 2 years. So what we want to do is we want to continue to bring awareness to this new space we're getting ready to get into, but also a lot of people are already integrating their systems into blockchain technology. So we're going to continue to talk about these things a lot so that y'all can understand them. But what we're going to do tonight is break it down for you in its entirety. So we have two speakers tonight that are going to go over everything to help y'all understand why it's important to go through these processes, and learn these things, especially going into 2023. One of our speakers is Robert Lawrence. Rob is a self-taught full stack developer out of Brooklyn, New York. He has been in the mix for a little over 2 years, just getting into the developing, niche and skill set. Now, he has done a lot of things since then. He's been able to develop video games, metaverse projects, NFT projects, as well as other things in that space. So he has been able to teach himself the different languages of the code to learn these different things in these different projects. So he is one of the guys who spearheads all of our projects, especially in the tech space. And so he is our lead developer, and he definitely holds it down for us in a major way. We also have Khari Baker. Khari is operating out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He definitely, connected with us in a major way. Actually, being a part of our very first event, he is one of our pillars in the organization also. But also Khari is our chief blockchain officer. His expertise is smart contracts. He's done a lot of hackathons. He's also been the champ of Tulio. So he did a lot of different major applications for major different projects. But also he has been a part of a lot of different great great opportunities that has been in front of him, especially with what he has founded and developed as well. He is currently the founder of Kenko, which is his own cryptocurrency. Now that has been distributed and traded through platforms like Trust and Uniswap, and it will be in other platforms as well. But Kenko is a very, very community oriented, very community driven crypto that has a lot of different aspects to it. So you're gonna hear a lot from Rob as well as from Khari, from their experiences in this space. So you're gonna hear all their perspectives and why it's so important to learn these things. Now, just before we get into everything in its entirety, and start to get into it. Here are some things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go into the current events of crypto, what the blockchain is, how does it actually work, why it's important to us right now. Because a lot of people ask, well, why is blockchain important to my real world use? Like, what is it going to mean for me in my real life uses? And so you're going to learn the architecture of it, as well as the different types of blockchains, how it's being used, and the companies that are currently using it at this very second right now. So we have some current events and some news that's been taking place that has been very, very alarming to a lot of people, especially those who have invested in the crypto. There is a major event taking place that is going on with a large organization called FTX. But here's a Bloomberg article about where the industry is going to go in the years to come. So it says there's there's a $50 trillion industry making a huge bet on the blockchain. So the global supply chain may be in crisis right now, but someday soon it could operate much more faster and more fairly and also more efficient. So there are a lot of things that go into the blockchain that are really important. That's why a lot of institutions, banking institutions, want to learn about the blockchain in its technology. So Rob and Khari are going to go into the depths of it. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring in our first speaker, who is our lead developer at Triple C, Mr. Rob Lawrence. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thanks, EJ. I appreciate everybody showing up. I hope you guys got your notepads. There's a lot of information to consume tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks for giving me the mic, EJ.
Absolutely.
There we go. So a little current events for you guys. So a year ago today, we had our first metaverse event, and we were able to bring people inside the metaverse, teach them about, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. And we also spoke about something called the Great Reset. Right, the room is still still up. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put it in a chat. But last year we brought Curtis Blow into the room. If you guys know hip hop, Curtis Blow is a legend in the space. We brought him into the metaverse. We made him a character, and we actually educated him about a lot of the things that he didn't really know about. So it was a great opportunity. But just like EJ was saying before, crypto is kind of in limbo right now because of the state of events. FTX is the second biggest exchange, probably the top biggest exchange in the US. And its CEO, he was doing a lot of shady stuff with the users' money. And the company went bankrupt about 2 days ago, right? Company goes bankrupt. Right after that, the remaining funds are hacked, over $473 million. I'm sure it's close to like $600 million. So there's a lot of chaos going on in the crypto world. But tonight we're going to show you why blockchain is important, right? And the difference between blockchain and crypto, which a lot of people mix up and confuse. In other news, Mayweather's having his 53rd fight. And this one is actually being hosted, not hosted, it's being streamed inside of a metaverse. It's not Decentraland, or it's not Sandbox. It's not one of the bigger ones that you've heard of, but it looks pretty good to me. I'm going to show you guys. Mayweather versus Deji. I'm not even sure who this guy is, but and why they're not counting the other fights that he had. But he's 50-0, on paper. These are the different promotions, but this is what that metaverse looks like, and it looks pretty good to me. So they'll probably have like a metaverse venue, probably one of these places over here where you go in and you buy your ticket and you watch the fight. So yeah, wanted to show you guys just some current events and we can get to business. So what is the blockchain? All right, everybody wants to know what the blockchain is. Blockchain is a network of computers all hosting, maintaining, and creating new blocks of data that are all chained together using cryptography, allowing us to keep an immutable ledger of the entire history of events that have happened on the network. So virtually anything of value can be stored on the blockchain. An asset can be tangible, like a house, a car, cash, or land, or it could be intangible, like intellectual property, patents or copyrights and branding. The list goes on. Just wanted to give you guys a little reference. An immutable ledger. Immutable means cannot be changed, and ledger is pretty much a fancy word for a record. So it's a record that cannot be changed. Just for example, blockchain is not Bitcoin. A lot of people will get it confused. Blockchain is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an application built on top of blockchain technology. So just like email is an application of the internet, you can think of, I'm sure we have some gamers in the chat, but you can think of blockchain as a game engine, and you can think of crypto as the game or the software being built on top of the engine, right? Like Unreal Engine, they make some of the best video games, and they have one of the most powerful game engines. They make all of these titles, right? You could think of Unreal as a blockchain and these different projects as applications or cryptocurrencies that function on top of the blockchain. So without the blockchain, you wouldn't have the crypto or the decentralized application. We'll get into that in a different time. But I bet you guys didn't know that the Mandalorian was used. They use Unreal Engine to simulate the backgrounds, the green screen. Different story. But what is a block? Blocks are data structures within a blockchain database, right? It's a blockchain. Each block can be thought of as a page in the ledger. Remember, I told you guys, the ledger is a record. A block records some or all of the most recent transactions not yet validated by the network. Once the data is validated, then the block is closed. A new block is then created for new transactions to be entered and then validated. So as you see here, we have an example of a block and its components. So here's the block and the number of the block is what we call a nonce. We'll get into that next. We have the data, which would be the ledger or the record, and we have the hash. So what does a block consist of? As each transaction occurs on chain, it is recorded on a block of data, right? Blockchain. Each block consists of a nonce, a number used only once. That's what a nonce is. A previous hash, like a digital fingerprint. So you can look at a hash as a unique fingerprint, a unique digital fingerprint for each block, right? So each block consists of a nonce, a previous hash, and a hash for its current block, right? A nonce, a number only used once. A nonce in cryptography and finance, nonce refers to a number that is randomly generated, right? So it's randomly generated with cryptography, and it is used to verify transactions and perform security checks. Cryptography is all about security. When cryptography comes from, it's nothing, these concepts are nothing new. Cryptography, blockchain, it didn't just come about. These are things that are built upon and used to make better technology. So it's a number of value that can be used only once, and is used to protect private communications by preventing replay attacks. You guys can Google that. That's a little bit too in depth to give an example of right now. It is also the number a blockchain miner must use to resolve and receive current block rewards. So they would use the nonce with the hash to resolve the mathematical equation. Right? I get into that. What is a hash? Hashing is a cryptographic method of converting any type of data into a string of characters, right? The same data will always produce the same hash value. Keep that in mind. The same data will always produce the same hash value. And I'll show you guys that just now. So here's the demo of a block. I'm going to type in my name, right? I'm going to mine that. This block is confirmed, right? If you notice, the hash starts with four zeros, 17, another 0. If I add anything to it, the hash is completely changed. If I capitalize, if I lowercase any, I'd like to ask everybody who joins the chat to just mute their mics, please. If I change any characters in this string of data, right? Like I said, the same data will always produce the same hash value, right? So if I change this B, remember the hash, just the 4 or 5 characters, right? If I change that B to any other character, the hash completely changes. If I add anything to it, or if I take away, the hash completely changes. Like I said, the same data will always produce the same hash value. Hash functions provide security through data encryption and creates a more efficient store of data, as hashes are a fixed size, meaning a fixed size of data. And here's a little example, another example. Right. And I'm gonna hand it over to Khari for this one. You there, Khari?
Yeah, I'm still here. Cuddle was going to sleep.
Okay. Okay, so we had SHA-256.
So with blockchain technology, it uses SHA-56 as a way to secure the block through hash, and it just depicts a binary language to easily pass it through. And in front of us, we have the diagram of what that looks like as far as the block communicating inside of the ledger, which it creates. And one of the biggest things was that organizations like NSA, the CIA, and FBI initially used it for message.
Absolutely. Like I told you guys before, these concepts are not new, but they're being used together to create what we call the blockchain. Something like a hash function, the SHA-256. You know, binary obviously is not new. Moving on, but block size and its importance. Simply put, the size of a block equals the amount of data that it stores. The largest amount of data a blockchain can hold is the block size limit. Keep that in mind. Blocks are batches of transaction data, and the amount of data in each block combined with the chain's block generation speed, block time, another term for it, determines the number of TPS the network can handle. Bitcoin has a block size of 1 megabyte, right? And has an average block time of 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you guys like a visual example of how that looks. But Ethereum is a little bit different. So let's look at an example of block size and block time. All right, so here on the right, we have Bitcoin. Here on the left, we have Ethereum, right? You'll notice that we have representations of people getting on buses. So, right, you can think of the people as transactions, which they are, and you can think of the bus.
Hey Rob,
as,
can you, is there a way you can start that launch over real quick?
So the launch over? You can
start that launch over real quick. Hey, everybody who can see the launch, everybody who can see that visual, please type in yes on the chat. I want to make sure everybody can see that. Everybody who can see the visual, please type yes or give us a shout. You know, give us some kind of indication you can see that. You can see the illustration. All right, cool.
All right,
go ahead and launch, bro.
Appreciate that. We don't want you guys missing this, because this is key, right? So the people are transactions and the buses are blocks. Excuse me. Right. So like I said, each block has components that make it up, but this won't show you everything. You have to go to the actual block explorer to see things like the nonce, or well, this is the block number right here. You can see that, but we don't see the hash up here. But we do see the amount of data that's in here, right? Bytes, data. These are the amount of transactions, and it's going to be confirmed in 10 minutes. So this is Bitcoin. Like I said, it has a block size of 1 megabyte and a finality, which is a block time of 10 minutes. right? Let's look at the line over here, big line, right? By the time I click on this and explain it to you guys, this block is gone, right? It has a smaller block size, but it functions differently. Look, block is gone. I have to click on another one. Smaller block size functions differently. But with that, they're able to have smaller transactions, faster transactions. This is going to be gone by the time I press X, right? Look at all of those transactions, less than a megabyte, gone. That's a little difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, is the block size and the block time. They have a different mechanism, right? Let's get back into it. On Ethereum, the larger size of a block is not determined by a block size limit, but rather the so-called gas limit. Gas refers to the unit that measures the amount of computational effort required to execute specific operations on the Ethereum network. So, you know, these things are very expensive. These hardwares that keep the blockchain running are very expensive, what you call miners. And we're going to show you examples of what miners actually look like, because miners are not people per se. Miners are actually pieces of hardware that are used to help the computer perform better in solving these equations, because it takes a lot of computational power, right? Block time. I feel like I explained this to you guys. We'll just go back over it. Block time is the average time it takes to create a new block, right? It's the time it takes miners or validators within a network to verify a transaction within one block and produce a new block in that chain, right? So let's look at that example of the blockchain, because we have different blocks, block 1, block 2, block 3. As you can see, these different block sizes get a little bit bigger because different things are, well, let me just give you the example. Here's the blockchain, right? It doesn't show you the amount of data, because this is just an example. But as you can see, so I'll show you an example. This is a Genesis block, right? Block number 1, Genesis. You look, I told you that it has a nonce, it has a data, which is the ledger, and it has a previous hash, but because this is the Genesis block, or the first block, it doesn't have a previous hash. So it's represented by zeros, right? And it has its own hash, which is the digital fingerprint of a block, right? Data is recorded, it's confirmed on the blockchain by validators or miners, and then a new block is created, block 2, which is connected to the first block. It retains a hash of the previous block, right? See that? And it has a hash of its own, a nonce, which is a number only used once, its unique block number in the chain, and an immutable ledger, right? So this is the blockchain. Excuse me. Khari, this is you.
So what we have in front of us is the Merkle tree. And the Merkle tree basically shows the relation from, it could be a chain or it could be a form of other databases, depending on if you're dealing with a hybrid blockchain. And we'll probably go into that at a future date about the cross chains and different things of that nature. But what the Merkle tree allows you to do is just understand the flow of each receipt. And that's kind of what you can look at the blockchain as far as when you look at the ledger. If you're looking for a certain transaction, or if you're looking at a certain time and date and want to find a specific event, this is the best way to break it down. So with blockchain architecture, and kind of why the Merkle tree is important, is you get to see how each block connects, and each block is its own unique identifier, or kind of, you could think of it like a fingerprint and each individual block has certain parameters that needs to be filled or certain data points that are required for it to be inside of it before another block can be created. So this allows everything to be permanent, so it's immutable, and it cannot be destroyed or hacked into. So Bitcoin, like all the other coins on the news, like like FTX have been hacked, but Bitcoin still has yet to be hacked. Blockchain mining is essentially the core feature of Bitcoin. Other cryptocurrencies have their own mechanisms, but mining is still somewhat involved in other processes. So when I think about mining, I think about the employees inside of a store, and Bitcoin itself is the store. So you need the employees to do the orders, make the food, and different things of that nature to keep the facility running. But everybody has to work inside of it. And that's kind of what I think about with mining. Proof of work is what Bitcoin is known for. And that typically just means that in order for another block to be created, there has to be miners computing the algorithm to produce the next block.
And while you're at that, Khari, as well, I want to stop real quick just on that. Y'all take a look at that real quick. Y'all see the images of what's being shown. There are actual warehouses, factories, and like locations that actually have like these whole setups. Like you're seeing in real time, like the full setups of these mining softwares being installed into these locations. But and then somebody had a question as well. How they try and scam if it's on a blockchain? Anybody want to take that?
So even though there might be certain things on the blockchain, um, skilled hackers are what I would call as scammers now, as far as people making fake websites to get you to put your wallet address in there and for you to potentially pay for something on the site or deposit on the site and not give you the ability to withdraw. So certain websites and organizations have been notoriously known to be quote unquote scams, but that's where due diligence comes in. You want to like look into the white paper of any coin or token that you find interesting or that you're investing money into, and look at the core features and the architecture of it. Like, can you look at the block explorer and know without a shadow of a doubt that each transaction isn't a fake transaction, like a pseudo transaction just created just to make it seem like the chain has activity, different things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, thank you for explaining that as well, Khari. That's a great explanation on that, and I'll also explain as well. There's a lot of scams out there in terms of just like crypto scams in general that are like high yielding opportunities. You want to do your due diligence, just like what Khari said. You know, you want to be very careful with these crypto opportunities that are promising you certain things, but there's like no company, no legitimacy to like what they're saying. If they're just trying to flip your money, I would be very careful with that. But also like in the blockchain, just like what you heard Khari explained, there's a lot of things that go into that. So there are different types of blockchains to kind of segue into that. There's a lot of different types of blockchains that are out there. For example, there's a public blockchain network. A public blockchain network is one that anyone can join and participate in, such as Bitcoin. Now, the drawbacks might include like substantial computational power required, like little or no privacy or transactions, um, and weak security. Now, these are important considerations for enterprise use cases on blockchain, but there's also private blockchain. Now, private blockchain network, similar to a public, is a decentralized peer-to-peer network. Now, however, one organization governs the network, controlling who is allowed to participate, execute a consensus protocol, and maintain the shared ledger. But dependent on the use case, this can significantly boost trust and confidence between participants, and a private blockchain can be run behind a corporate firewall and even be hosted on the premises. So there are benefits to that. But now there's also a permission blockchain network. Now, what that is businesses who set up a private blockchain would generally set up a permissioned blockchain network. It's important to note that the public blockchain networks can also be permissioned. Now, the places restrictions, or this places restrictions on who is allowed on the participant in the network and what transactions. Now, participants need to obtain an invitation or permission to join. Now, I've heard a lot about the permission blockchain networks, but these are the different types that are available out there. So just people who ask what types of blockchains are out there and available, those are the three most prominent types. Do y'all want to touch on those as well?
Nah, you handled that well, bro.
Cool.
But that last question that came up about scams happening on the blockchain, right? What's going on, TJ? Scammers have a lot of great tactics. Yeah, absolutely. Check this out, though. All right, guys. Here's why you can't cheat the blockchain. I already showed you guys an example of what the blockchain looks like, right? And like I told you, if I change anything in the block, the hash changes because the hash is a unique fingerprint based on the characters that you type in, letters, numbers, characters, right? So you change anything in the block, everything changes. All right? Check my name and not some gibberish. Wow. Right? So that hash is there. What if I try to input the data right there? Right? All of these blocks are invalid because I changed what was in there. So let's say that we have 100 blocks. And let's say everybody's working on block 91. These are the miners, right? But one miner wants to alter a transaction on block 74. Right? He'd have to make his changes and redo all the computations for all blocks 74 to 90 and do block 91. And that's 18 blocks of expensive computing. Like I told you guys, that that miner hardware is definitely not cheap. You can Google it right now. I'm sure if you do Amazon FBA and you're selling miners, you're caked up. But this it's very expensive to do what this person would want to do. And so what's worse, he'd have to do it all before everybody finished that block on 91, because then it would create a new block. All right, I showed you guys that. So I think this is you, EJ.
Yep. So we're gonna go into, really a lot of times now going into the who, what, when, where, and why. Like here's like why the blockchain is important in itself. Now, I remember I was saying like institutions are trying to want to understand blockchain technology and they want to integrate it into their systems. Like these are the reasons why. Like businesses run on information and data. I personally work in the agriculture industry as well, so I do work with a lot of farmers who have to funnel their data into us for their business analytics purposes. Now, in terms of the blockchain, that data is being streamed in a very similar way. But the way that this works is data is the faster it's received and the more accurate the information, the better. Because in my line of work, that efficiency is important, especially when it comes to data. So the blockchain is ideal for delivering information because it provides immediate, shared, and completely transparent information stored on a immutable ledger. You've heard that word, several times, immutable, or you can say a record that cannot be changed. And its core, at its core, the blockchain is a tamper-proof data structure that tracks something of value or interest as it passes from owner to owner. So those are very, very important when it comes to, when you saw the illustration that Rob gave with the blocks, as well as with the the actual traffic showing. Like you see the transaction speeds and why different organizations are really, really keen to want to see those in real time. Like there are organizations that literally want to see faster transaction speeds or more efficient data streams. And the blockchain is that solution. So when you think about cryptocurrency or just the blockchain itself, transactions efficiencies are on a different level than our traditional system is. Rob, you want to touch on that as well?
Oh yeah.
Actually,
Data. If you look into data, one of the most valuable things to enterprises is data, because data is one of the most important things in the world besides food, water, and shelter, and obviously like your basic necessities. But when it comes to these big businesses, they function off of data. It can't be incorrect, and they want it fast.
right.
So.
Ooh, hey, Rob. Quan asked a good question, man. He said, so was the blockchain created before Bitcoin?
Absolutely. Blockchain was created, I think, the year that I was born. Don't quote me on that though. And sometime in the 90s, I believe it was created. It was what was it called? How to timestamp a digital document. But it wasn't called blockchain, but this was the inception of it. So you can look up that, how to timestamp a digital document.
Absolutely. And yeah, Quan. Yeah, Q in the 90s, bro. In the 90s, people think that the blockchain has just been around since Bitcoin's inception, and that's not true. It's actually been around a lot longer. Blockchain technology is definitely something that has just not been as prominent of a topic of discussion as it is right now. And so TJ, yeah, that's definitely a great point as well. So TJ actually works for a cryptocurrency exchange. And so she sees these transactions happen in real time. And she has to work with hash IDs and different blocks and identify these things. So, that is very true. The blockchain never lies. Going into the benefits, let's talk about the benefits real quick. Business benefits off the blockchain, but how? So here's a few things. Time savings. So the blockchain slashes transaction times from days to minutes. When the average transaction may take a few days to confirm, all I need is 6 confirmations from usual transactions on the block for me to confirm my transaction with you. If I wanted to send you Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you choose, there's a certain level of, I guess we call it confirmations or other transaction confirmations that allow us in minutes to make these transfers or to make these transactions. So transaction settlement is faster because it doesn't require verification by a central authority. Usually a lot of transactions are decentralized. You're going to see in the blockchain technology, there's a lot of decentralized finance, what we call it DeFi. There's tighter security. Blockchain securities features protect against tampering, fraud, and cybercrime. So when you talk about the blockchain security, we always talk about with CCC wanting to understand ledger keys. Getting a ledger nano key or like a cold storage wallet that
let's spend some time on that. Let's spend some time on that, EJ. That's keys. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So
go ahead and go in.
Yeah. So there's the hot, cold, and then there's the warm, there's a warm, hot, and the cold storage wallet. So I don't want to name drop on different corporations, but the primary ones. We can go into Coinbase, Crypto.com, CoinMe, other platforms. These are what's considered to be like warm or hot wallets that are mainly centralized wallets. So you can exchange it. You can send your crypto and you can store it there, but those are meant to be exchanges. Primarily, their blockchain purpose is to be a means of transaction more than just storage. So they actually have ownership of your crypto. Whereas if you go to a cold storage wallet that usually you can't buy cryptocurrency from, it's mainly a storage space, but it gives you a private key and also usually a security precaution like a 2-factor authentication or like a 12-word phrase. Those are your cold storage wallets. Also, like your Ledger Nano key, like your physical wallet is a cold storage wallet. So if you ever hear anybody talk about a Trezor key or a Ledger Nano, those are going to be almost like a USB type of key that's good to use for your storage. But going back to cold wallets, if you don't, and y'all please remember I said this, if you don't have your private keys, you don't own that crypto. You don't have ownership of that crypto. You probably
Not your
bought it from
keys, not your
crypto.com or other
wallet.
platforms. Say again, Rob.
Not your keys, not your wallet.
Not your keys, not your wallet. If you don't have private keys, then that can be swept under your feet in seconds if they wanted to. But those are very, very important. Like, tight security is important, but also having ownership of your crypto is extremely important. Um, Cost savings, transactions need less oversight. Participants can exchange items of value directly, but blockchain eliminates duplication of effort because participants have access to a shared ledger. Now we've talked about immutable ledgers as well, but immutable ledgers, members share a single view of truth. You can see all details of a transaction end to end, giving you greater confidence as well as new efficiencies and opportunities. The blockchain enables securities to be settled in minutes instead of days. But also the blockchain network can track orders, payments, accounts, production, and more, which is why a lot of organizations want to implement the blockchain technology within their systems. Um, and then of course, going into that, here are a few uses that you can see are going into the blockchain technology, like coffee supply chains. The federal government operations go into blockchain technology, especially voting. Pharmaceutical, supply chains, digital identifications, carbon credits, organizational structures, and even real estate is involved within blockchain technology and use cases. Y'all want to touch on these a good bit as well in terms of the different use cases? I know, yeah, exactly. I think Khari wanted to get into the real estate side of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so with current development, with current developments happening on NFTs and real estate, OpenSea had sold a house that somebody listed. And I think that was cool because it just shows others what you can potentially do with the power of blockchain technology. So Proppy is also one that focuses on helping people relocate or helping people sell their homes on the blockchain. And as you can see, you can kind of look, it gives you the option to find an agent so you can call somebody. But it also mentions selling a home, buying a home, and NFTs. So with the type of influence that the real estate market has, this can draw much needed attention to the blockchain and cryptocurrency around like 2023, 2024. Organizational structure is important because most DAOs, which is the decentralized autonomous organization, uses organizational structures to establish the community, or better known as tribes. So I like to think about it like when you get into a Slack or a Discord and you see everybody that's involved with it, it'll let you know like, oh, somebody's the moderator, or this person was the creator of the channel and different things like that. And everybody has specific roles. So it's very important that inside of a DAO, you establish your role, or you look at the white paper and find which role you want to take. So in certain organizations, they might use their ability with the token to vote, and we'll go into that in a future slide. But there are multiple use cases that you can get just from creating one. If you're interested in building a project and you want to get certain feedback, a DAO is a great way to run it, especially if you're busy and have like a hands-free type of lifestyle. So we can go to the next slide. So voting is a key issue, not only in the decentral world but in real life. Um, just because dealing with certain issues like who you have in office and things like that is very important. I think like one of the biggest factors that has happened this year has been the overturning of Roe versus Wade. So when you look at what side a lot of people may or may not be on, what influences a lot of these policies is money. So when we look at certain elections in the past, we can say that there was tampering with data and different things like that. So people have been looking for safer, secure options to be able to vote, and that's the blockchain. So, and not only does it provide us a more secure way in DAOs, it's a way for people to see and come to a consensus on decisions that can help the DAO move forward. So the federal government is currently behind as far as where they would like to be as far as understanding cryptocurrency. So a lot of these cases or a lot of these events that we're looking at, like the hack and the fall of FTX, that has a big part to play because the government is going to send out their agencies like the SEC to help them form regulations around what we can and can't do with blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. So a lot of people are hoping to grow from this. You have people such as lawyers that are doing research to try to combat certain decisions and court rulings and different things of that nature. So this is opening up, I want to say, a niche field for certain people to kind of come through the portal as well, as when we look into the 2023-2024 era. And also just a tidbit, 20 we're still going to probably see Bitcoin in low ranges, not super high, but near the end of 2023 coming in 2024, that's when we should see an uptick. And that's going to help more people get interested. Like anytime it's crypto winter, a lot of people chill off of it just because of like the FUD and the negative news that happens. And around these type of times in the cycle, like back in the day, China was the one coming up with news about like Mount Gox and the hackings beforehand. So this current news isn't anything new. I mean, it's new as far as current events, but it's cycled and it's repetitive. So just be able to take advantage of the opportunities as you see fit when you know certain things are happening. But yeah, we can continue to the next slide. So with the pharmaceutical side of things, can profit tremendously from blockchain technology. Around, I want to say like 2019, I did a talk with Atrium, which is a medical facility in Charlotte, North Carolina, about the potential use cases as far as like the transfer of breast milk or blood or organs, different things like that have tremendous value of being secured through blockchain technology, such as only the unique identifier can be scanned and transferred to certain buildings. And if you program certain scanners to have this technology, then you can make sure that certain items haven't been tampered with or try to be procured by wrongdoers and different things of that nature. So we definitely want to be able to look into more ways that the pharmaceutical supply chain can benefit from blockchain technology so they can incorporate it as well. Digital IDs, such as the unique identifier, there's ENS that has like Ethereum names that make it easier to transfer cryptocurrency, NFTs, other assets. They're definitely important because they give you a form of anonymous activity as far as what you want to be private with. And privacy isn't always like a nefarious thing. Like sometimes you need to be protected. Digital IDs could definitely benefit people who are in social services, people who should or need to be adopted, but due to how corrupt the world is today, we have to find different forms of protection.
So, and thank you, Khari, for really going through that big time. Really appreciate you diving through that and help people understand that as well. There are so many reasons that the blockchain is going to be the solution for a lot of different situations, but you can read it right here. The blockchain will become the beating heart of the global financial system. So there are so many reasons it's going to be, but that was published back in 2016, y'all. That was actually published. Y'all see the date. That was published August of 2016. So here we are in 2022, and we're still moving through heavy opportunities in the blockchain right now, even for those who are trying to get into that industry heavy. So there are a lot of things to go into on that. You can go to the next one as well, bro. So like, for example, there are a lot of organizations, corporations that are right now, utilizing the blockchain in its entirety. There is actually a patent and trademark from Nike with the blockchain technology in itself right now. You can read right there what it entails, but Nike has its own trademark for that kind of blockchain technology right now. And so, you're seeing it right in front of you. That is one. You can go to the next one as well, bro. So, and then also Walmart. So you see it from the New York Times. From farm to blockchain, Walmart is right now integrating in its systems blockchain technology. It says the giant retailer will begin requiring letters and spinach suppliers to contribute to a blockchain database that can rapidly pinpoint contamination. That is very important into what we're going into in our world right now. So you're seeing it in real time. These are some things people are saying that people are invested into the technology. There's one from the co-founder of Ethereum, which says, whereas most technologies tend to automate workers on the periphery doing menial tasks, blockchains automate away the center. Instead of putting the taxi driver out of the job, blockchains puts Ubers out of a job and lets the taxi drivers work with the customer directly. Think about that. As well as Kevin O'Leary. Yeah, I know Kevin O'Leary is a very successful entrepreneur. He's also been on Shark Tank. Shout out to the guys at Bundle, Dimitri and them for being pitched or pitching to Kevin O'Leary. Bitcoin is not just a coin or a currency, but it's a software, and institutions like to criticize me for investing in Bitcoin. But how I see it, if you hold big positions in a company like Microsoft or Yahoo, it's all the same. It's very last one from John McAfee, from founder of McAfee. Y'all see that all the time from different security precautions, even online. You can't stop things like Bitcoin. It will be everywhere, and the world will have to readjust, or world governments will have to readjust. It's very true. It's very true.
R.I.P. John McAfee.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say thank you all for getting a chance to be in the class on today. The next class is going to be going over ISO 20022. Rob is going to be going through that in its entirety as well as the guys. So I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in, but also big shouts out to Rob as well as Khari for going through this presentation for you all and really helping y'all understand it in its entirety and breaking it down in the way that they did. But you know, again, big shouts to y'all for just being on, seeing this. Now, this has been recorded, so for anybody who wants to see the recording of this playback, we will be sending that out. But you know, again, this has been the conclusion of our presentation in our class on today. Rob, you want to have any Robert Khari, any last final words that you want to give as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for showing up. I hope you guys really got something out of this. I spent a lot of time doing it, but I enjoyed every second of it because although I do know these things, it's always good to brush up on some stuff. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did as well. And thank you so much for showing up. EJ, thank you. Khari, thank you, bro.
Yeah, it was definitely a pleasure. I hope everybody here was able to get more insight or understand something that they didn't have full understanding of. Definitely, I hope that y'all come back to the future talks and everybody have a great night.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. You know, so I appreciate y'all for doing what y'all do. Y'all have a great night, y'all, and y'all be safe. Have a great start to your week, and we will talk to y'all very soon on our next class.